Okay, we are about to review Gemini Man, and I assume you've sent me a one-breath synopsis?
I have, and as is tradition, I would like you to sing it a bit,
Okay,
like the Fresh Prince rap.
of course. All right, here we go. Now, this is a story all about how Will Smith's life got flipped turned upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there and tell you the story of Gemini Man without breathing air. Gemini Man is a 2019 American action thriller film directed by Ang Lee and written by David Benioff, Billy Ray, and Damien Lemke, starring Will Smith, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Clive Owen, and Benedict Wong. The film follows a hitman who is targeted by a younger clone of himself while on the run from the government. Originally conceived in 1987, the film went through development hell for nearly 20 years. The movie was shot in HFR 120 frames per second and has been in the news for using a CGI version of young Will Smith as one of the main characters in the movie.
Wow.
That was pretty easy.
I felt like I was looking at young Omar there
I
for
know,
a
right?
second.
All right,
I'm
here
now
we
going
go.
to flip the coin of fate. If it lands on heads, you love Gemini Man.
Oh, wow.
If
I love it.
Yeah, if it lands on tails, you hate it. Here goes nothing.
Here goes nothing.
Nailed the coin toss.
You did. I'm impressed.
On camera and everything. Heads.
I love Gemini Man. I loved Gemini Man. I mean, how could you not love Gemini Man? You've got Ang Lee, Oscar-winning director Ang Lee, with the cutting-edge technology of 120 frames per second, putting his career on the line for it because he knows what the future holds. 120 frames per second, HFR 4K. You got double Will Smith using incredible cloning techniques, not going for the usual de-aging crap that passes for de-aging techniques these days, and a story that is just non-stop action and thrills. Thank you for Gemini Man, Ang Lee and co.
Cutting edge. I wanted to cut my wrists while watching this movie. That's how terrible it is. No amount of technology can save a bad script, and that's what this is. Will Smith looks like he's sleepwalking through the movie, except when it's the CGI version of him, at which point he's just dangling around, defying physics in all forms. Ang Lee used to make such great movies. What happened?
What happened is that he's making greater movies than he used to make. You have to understand, Ang Lee is a genius. He is not just a regular person. Ang Lee is a visionary. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Life of Pi, Brokeback Mountain, and more.
Yeah.
And now he brings Gemini Man as something that clearly is ahead of its time because the layperson, I'm looking at you, Haitham, doesn't get it.
Brokeback Mountain was such a great film. He is a visionary, and I think he needs to get his vision checked because this movie looks like it's a soap opera. It's shot at 120 frames, and everything is kind of in focus. The lighting's all weird. It's supposed to look hyper real, but it just makes it look like I'm watching a stupid soap opera.
That's because your eyes are not ready. That's because your brain is not ready. This is what happened when silent film was replaced by the talkies. All right, a lot of people threw up. They threw up. A lot.
I don't think that's so mystery.
That's what happened. All right, film history. A lot of people couldn't stand it. They couldn't believe that they would do something like this. This is the next evolution of film. Get your peepers ready, because this is what's going to be happening more. And
You know who threw up? David Benioff threw up on a piece of paper and called it a script. He first destroyed the final season of Game of Thrones, and now he's destroyed what I think is probably going to be Ang Lee's and Will Smith's career.
How dare you speak ill of DB? DB, who gave us season after season of magnificent Game of Thrones incredibleness.
Yeah.
And yeah, he might have misstepped in the last season. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Okay. All right. But this is his rise back up onto the dragon's back. All right. David Benioff, thank you for making sure that Gemini Man, which, by the way, has been a script that's been floating around for a couple of decades, all right, was able to revive it.
This movie has been floating around. You're right. It's a floater, a turd. This movie is a turd. The
It's a turd.
script
It's
is
a turd.
This movie is clearly a script from the 90s. It reads like a movie from the 90s. We've seen this over and over again. It's an airplane novel. It's way behind its times instead of ahead of it. I don't know what anybody involved was thinking in making this movie in this day and age where we have such great cinema. We have shows on Netflix that are better than this.
Switch.
We are used to sitting at home and watching Netflix. If we want to go to the movies, if we want to save cinema, we have to use new technology. Technology like HFR and 3D, and the use of 3D in this movie is amazing. It looked like I was sitting with Will Smith. Let's talk about what a great performance Will Smith gives as both young him and old him. I felt nostalgic looking at old him, but the nuances he brings to his older character is phenomenal.
You felt nostalgic looking at his younger version.
Yeah.
Right. So young him.
Yeah.
Because you said you felt nostalgic looking at old him.
No.
But what
sorry.
you're saying is you liked looking at this weird demonic love child of Ang Lee and Will Smith. This strange looking, uncanny valley strutting. It's having the opposite effect. This is not how you use cinema. You don't just ignore. Look, if he had used the technology in a way that was really phenomenal, if he had used the technology in a way that made you just realize, like, at least incredibly, what an incredible technical achievement it was, maybe kind of forget this horrible script. But he failed on both sides.
No, the script is amazing for this movie. It is a thrill a second film.
Oh, thrill a second.
It is an action thriller that's a throwback action film using modern technology.
It's a throw-up action film.
And it is also a kind of a contemplative drama about the life of a hitman who is kind of now wants to retire and he's
it sound so much better than it is. It's a contemplative drama about the life of a hitman.
It is. It is such a. It uses this sci-fi premise of young him and old him to really talk about what it is to be in a position where you regret your past and if you can change.
So no, it does none of those things. It does those things in your head because you're trying to find meaning in a meaningless script. All right? And they could have taken the opportunity to talk about such existential questions as who am I and what the difference is between nature and nurture and all of that. It was like there for the taking. But instead, they just turned it into you took a person and you made a person out of another person.
Exactly.
And then you sent that person to kill a person. It's like, what kind of bullshit is that?
Listen.
What is that?
Switch.
Such existential questions were asked in this film. You made a person out of another person, and then you sent that person to kill a person. All right? That's like Macbeth level writing. All right?
Yeah.
Because the fact is...
I think it is Macbeth level writing because I was thinking to be or not to be. It made me think that at that time. Yes.
Yeah?
I wanted to kill myself.
Okay.
No, this movie has terrible dialogue. It is almost all exposition from like tertiary characters.
You need exposition, man. You know, you've got this this problem with exposition. You always want everything to be a hidden meaning. You need to understand what's going on in the story, buddy.
We do. We understood right from that poster. We see that poster. We know what this movie's about. We have to wait 40 minutes for the clone against clone thing to actually happen. What's all this setup for? What's the point of all this slow burn?
To create an atmosphere, to give you a sense of what old Will Smith is dealing with in his life, to look at the adversity that he's facing, at the paranoia that's built up in him, to see him finally decide, you know what, it's time for me to retire. I am done. I'm done being your killing machine, only to get dragged back in. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Godfather.
What happens with me is every time I think I'm in, they push me out. But let's not talk about that. Okay?
The movie theater.
Let's talk about the movie, right? The movie is Will Smith going fishing for a bit, and he has this weird flirtatious...
Yeah, he does go fishing. And the meaning of fishing, don't you understand? Fishing.
he goes,
You're
he
gonna
has,
ignore that completely.
he has a weird flirtatious relationship with a much younger girl that goes nowhere. All these side characters, all who are all great actors, are just kind of wasted in this movie.
They all have a purpose, right? So you've got his buddy, the plane guy from
That's it. You just described his entire character.
his buddy, the plane.
Buddy plane guy. That's it.
His buddy, the plane guy.
That is his entire characterization.
That's an important character that is responsible for taking them
for
around the
being
world.
his buddy,
the
and
plane guy.
flying a plane.
It's an important character, all right? Then you've got the double agent girl who is the flirtatious character, and they're his friends. They're showing him that in this world he still has people on his side, even if his own clone is trying to kill him.
And even the action sequences in this movie are boring.
Boring? I mean,
we've
come on,
seen
man. You've
these
got
a million
motorcycle
times.
battles, literal motorcycle battles, using the motorcycle to battle. You've got incredible chase sequences, great, gunfighting. You've got some really exciting moments in this
You are
film.
constantly put out of those scenes because of the use of the HFR and the bad clone thing, CGI monstrosity in this film. There is a scene at the end of this movie where you see young Will Smith, and he basically looks like a demonic cartoon thing, like somebody threw acid on real Will Smith's face.
No. All right? Every single step along the way is pushing technology and filmmaking forward. Fine, it is not absolutely seamlessly perfect, but it is as close as can be, and you should be thankful that they're pushing the boundaries of technology like that.
Listen, I'll put this as my closing thoughts, right? Ang Lee saw this movie and all he cared about was the technology. He lost sight of the film that he was making.
Switch.
Ang Lee cares about technology so much that he's pushing cinema forward. And it is only with the rise of technology that scripts can get better. We have seen the same movie over and over again. It is now time that something new and improved is put in.
Switch.
It is now time that Ang Lee retires. He goes back to China. He used to be a hidden dragon, and now he's a crouching tiger. No, the opposite. He used to be a crouching tiger, and now he's a hidden dragon. Okay. Will Smith, please.
Will he? Won't he?
Will Smith, I think, did concussion, probably got a concussion, and made this movie. I hated it.
Okay, well, I guess that brings us to the natural conclusion of our debate. And it's time now for the moment of truth. Now tell me, Haysam, what did you really think?
right?
I don't disagree with you, but this isn't. There's so many different ways to do that. Like there's the de-aging thing,
Yeah.
right? Then there's the face tracking,
Yes.
which has been going on for a very long time.
Yes.
Right? Then there is literal, deep fakes that are happening now
So
with AI. Like what I'm trying to say is that I get what you're saying, but there's so much seemingly better ways to achieve this already.
So what Ang Lee says about why he used a CGI character here as opposed to doing anything else is he essentially talks about being able to choreograph fight sequences
Okay.
in a way where they look more realistic.
Okay.
Right? Because fight is like dance.
Okay.
Right, you're doing it at beats. That's how action choreographers are. They're choreographing.
Yes.
Their beats. They're doing it as beats. It's not, and so he says that it'll always look kind of fake because you know that that's what's going on.
Okay.
But when you do it this way, where it's against a CGI character like this, you don't have to worry about those beats anymore. You can be more kind of brutal. It becomes almost more improvisational. And that's why he used a CGI character.
But it's not a full CGI character.
It is a full CGI.
No,
character.
there's a double there.
Yes.
And they're just replacing his face with Will Smith's face.
That was just for him to act or something, but like in the actual sequences,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something.
He had
like
a
that.
justification.
He has
for
a
it.
justification.
I just don't.
And
There were so many times in the
Yeah.
movie where I could tell that was a CGI character.
yeah, absolutely.
Like the first time that you saw him and he climbs down the building,
Yeah.
you're like, that's a CGI character.
It's not just the face; it's the movement that got me out of it more
Yeah.
than anything else. He doesn't move like a real.
Yeah,
person.
it's the body movement. The
Right?
face was actually really good,
Yeah.
except the upper lip. Like I'm being
Yeah.
picky, but the upper lip was totally off, like all the time,
Yeah.
And then that last scene with him in the light, when you see him in the
Yeah.
light, he looked like a weird monstrosity.
and just really bad dialogue. Just
That's the thing. Is that
Horrible
the
dialogue.
dialogue was really bad. The story was really just done to death and boring, and it seemed like it's a total misfire. And sad to say, it's lost $75 million. $75 million.
It's a lot
loss.
of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I don't think it's killed Ang Lee's career because he's a double Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna try again. Will Smith, he's gonna be
Yeah.
fine. He just did Aladdin this year, which did great. But he's really clearly into a lot of CGI versions of himself.
There were a couple. Okay, I don't want to like shit on the movie completely. I'll say a couple of things I
Yeah.
liked. The bike chase sequence was kind of good.
I like the first chase sequence in wherever they were, Costa Rica or something. I don't remember.
It was the bike thing. It was.
But there was the bike thing happen. First, it was like a
yes.
regular chase,
Yeah.
and then a bike thing.
Yeah, that entire.
And that was
action-
good.
That was a good action sequence.
There were some good action sequences.
And when they're kind of in the catacombs, there's an
Catacombs
action
is good.
sequence.
Anytime that it was kind of dark,
Yeah.
the CGI version of Will Smith looked really, really cool and really believable.
There was a scene with like a minigun thing.
The minigun scene was awesome.
That looked really cool.
That was in
but
the
that was
trailer.
5 seconds.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was it. But yeah, apart from that, I
No.
would not recommend. this
I
at all.
was disappointed, unfortunately. How many clone Will Smiths would you give this movie?
2.
Wow. Okay.
2, 3,
Damn.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Damn.
Yeah, no.
Oh. I mean, I'd give it like a 4, maybe a 3.5.
Like to
Like
me,
it was a real fail.
like
unfortunately.
to me, like the biggest sin a movie can do is be boring.
Yeah, this was
And
pretty
this
boring.
is just boring. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather watch a really bad movie than a boring
that
one.
you can actually feel entertained by.
Yeah, it's just boring.
Hopefully, Ang Lee will rise again, like a hidden dragon, huh? and I'm sure they'll all be fine. But this is a big blow to them, that's for sure. It wasn't for lack of trying, that's for sure. So I wish them luck. But as far as this movie was concerned, no, I'd give it like a 3.5 or a 4
Yeah.
for sure. So, thank you for listening to Switch Flicks. If you loved or hated the show, please do rate, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us grow the channel and the community. And we are about to have our second live show, which will be next Thursday.
Yeah, Halloween
Our
special.
special Halloween special, where we will be doing a screening and then a live show. So really looking forward to that. And we will update you with the place and time.
Yeah,
So thank you for listening and see you next time.
we're Switch Flicks.
Oh yeah, we're Switch Flicks.